This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Ravenport 22. But before that, this video is brought to you by Chad Bergman and Jolly Rancher. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Ravenport 22 map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to Ravenport. This is a conversion of the Ravenport base map from FS19. Tried to keep the same Ravenport look with new and improved textures and lighting. And I can tell you that this map is now trash free. The citizens of Ravenport now take great pride in their local area and have cleaned up their act. They're no longer tossing trash everywhere. In addition, there's also a lot of factories that you can buy, and then they can be sold and removed from the map, giving you a useful place to put other things down. Also, the terrain has been updated to FS22 standards, so you can now sell goods and wool. This is a standard size map, and here you can play the game as you want. Arable, productions, forestry are all three. The main farm is equipped with pre-placed farm buildings, along with cow, sheep, and chicken barns. This map includes 26 fields from small to big, 3 of which have grass missions, 2 forestry sites, collectibles, a biogas plant, traffic, pedestrians, and more paintable ground textures. In addition, this map includes 10 pre-placed productions. Of note, we also have the ability to put corn in our grain mill for making corn flour. We have a corn dryer also on the map that requires propane. The BGA will produce methane as a usable output. There are custom greenhouses that will produce apples, oranges, lemons, pineapples, and pumpkins, a placeable juice factory, as well as the ability to buy sugar if you don't want to produce it yourself. There are also placeable herbicide, liquid and solid fertilizer, as well as lime buy points. Let's go ahead and load into the map. We are going to be using the usually mods that we take a look at maps with, which are additional field info, additional aim settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, precision farming, and straw harvest. Now, I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find that the main farm is completely empty of buildings. In addition, you do not own any starting machinery in those play modes, nor do you own any land. Now, when we load into the map for the very first time, we do start here at our starting farm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22 on this particular map. And if we take a look at our lands area, you'll see we start by owning farmland ID 38, 46, and 54. All 3 of these are going to be required in order to make use of the home farm, because we do have buildings pre-placed in each of those areas. They can be bought for $105,000, $181,000, and $77,000 respectively. We do have a BGA which is central to the map. You will need to purchase the BGA at the time in order to make use of it. In addition, we have a horse pasture at farmland ID 57 that can be bought for $123,000. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. The farmland lease screen shows all of the viable farmlands on the map, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us. We can then cross-reference that with our field calculator screen. This is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. And let's go ahead and take a look and see how the generic soil map is being applied to these fields. Our starting fields down here in the southeast corner are going to be composed of loam and silty clay. You see we have a nice companion of various soil types up here toward the center of the map with loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. We do have a custom crop counter on this map that will allow us to double harvest or double crop. if we have our barley planted in September, we should be able to harvest that barley the following June. And in doing so, we then should be able to plant our soybeans in June, which then should put it on schedule to harvest in November. But sadly, in order to then double crop again, we're going to have to wait a year, because the only thing that we can plant in November is going to be our wheat, and our wheat is likely not going to be ready in July. It might be ready in August, and either way, we do not have the ability to plant anything post June. Taking a look at our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in Farm Sim 22. In addition, we do have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. As we continue down, we do have the ability to sell also all of our base game productions, which is always a great thing to see. Now, in addition to our base game productions, we also have some custom productions. We have dried corn, propane, corn flour, fine corn flour, cornbread, sweet cornbread, pumpkin pie, apple juice, pineapple juice, orange juice, lemonade, pumpkin, lemons, oranges, pineapples, apples. And then with respect to the platinum expansion, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of the platinum expansion production items as well. Of course, we have the ability to sell our premium expansion production items. And if we are playing with pumps and hoses, we do have the ability of getting rid of our separated manure. And if we are playing with the straw harvest add-on, we also do have the ability to sell our pellets. Now, something I skipped over earlier is our stones. We do have the ability to sell stones, and we will need to put down a bulk lime buy point if we wish to buy bulk lime. With respect to our starting fleet, we start out with a small starting fleet. It is all owned. None of it is leased, and is all well maintained. We have a sheep, cow, chicken, and horse stables at the start. That is not quite correct, because I actually purchased the horse stables when we were taking a look at the soil map. So at the start, we have sheep, cow, and chickens. The horse stables, again, I have purchased just so those triggers will pop up when we get around to our flyover. With respect to contracts, we do indeed have the ability to do contracts on this map. We do not own any production chains at the start, and we do have 20 Halt Belarun game cartridges available on this map as collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the Case Maxim CVX 115 small tractor, as well as the John Deere 7810 medium tractor and Massey Ferguson 3670. We have a Tutsfar Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H grain header and 4090H header trailer. We have our 1986 pickup truck, as well as our Welger DK115 trailer. We have the Torino 3FX cultivator and the Nordstein HK25 NS3030 seeder and power harrow combination. We have a VB3190 round baler, and then we wrap it all up with a pair of 750 kilogram front weights. Taking a look at our mods and DLCs, you will see that we do have some custom vehicles and a custom pallet on this map. Since we do have propane as an added fill type, as well as methane gas, there is a modded MKS8 and MKS32, which will also hold the propane and the methane gas. And as I mentioned in the description, you can buy sugar pellets or sugar pallets if you do not wish to produce sugar your own, because we do have some custom recipes that will require sugar. With that, let's go ahead and kind of tour the farm here. Now, anyone that has played FS19 and Ravenport specifically will likely be very at home with the majority of the starting farm. We have a custom silo with dump and fill points. Up here where we had the silo for FS19. We have our American flag. Easy shed for our machinery. And then we have our farmhouse. Now within the farmhouse, we have our sleep trigger on the left and our wardrobe trigger on the right. something I wanted to check. Oh, yes. So we actually have some usable buildings here. Now, this is just going to be deco. But I kind of wish the chickens were down here myself. Another deco building. And a third deco building. We can sell everything here at the farm. So if we want to get rid of these useless deco buildings, we can indeed do that. We have our chickens here. So we have our egg point. We're going to be able to put 500 chickens in this facility. And then we have our food trough. We have a usable barn. Thank you very much, mod author. Now, if we follow this road up and around the hillside, we're going to come to where the rest of our animals are located. We have our cows, so we have our slurry. Our food and straw. $150 cows in total. And then we have our milk fill point here. Large machine shed. And over here we have our sheep. So we have our wool spawn point. We have our dump point for our food. And we have our sheep delivery point. 300 sheep in total here at this facility as well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our animal food overview screen just to see what our animal food requirements are. For cows, they look fairly standard, as well as sheep, pigs, horses, and chickens. Of course, we do have premium expansion enabled. Therefore, carrots, parsnips, and red beets are also flagged as root crops for both our pigs and our horses. And that is pretty much the starting farm location. Well, let's get a little bit of altitude so we can take a little bit further look around. Here's the road that we came up and the starting farm down below. Town is, of course, off in the distance there. That is where we're going to end our fly around. We have our animal dealer, or BGA, off in the distance, where we would expect it, of course, with respect to Ravenport from FS19. Here we have a train transfer silo in order to transfer products to and from the train, and of course to rent the train as well. Here we have our horse pasture. You will need to buy this area in order to make use of it. We'll take a closer look at the triggers as we do our drive around. There's grain sell point up here on the hillside. And as we come across the western side of the map here, or sorry, the eastern side of the map, we have a bit of forestry here. And then the Alma train sell point is going to be located here at the tunnel. Another grain sell point below. Of course, we have our lighthouse off in the distance. We have another sell point here. Actually, I believe this is going to be our production point. This is possibly the dairy. We'll have to take a closer look at that here in a minute. Now, with respect to productions, this map has 10 productions built in. As I mentioned earlier, we have a BGA, a dairy, spinnery, carpentry, sawmill, bakery, grain elevator, grain dryer, sugar mill, as well as an oil mill. And speaking of sawmill and carpentry, those are both located right here. Another train transfer station. We have our oil mill, our sugar mill located here in town. I believe this is going to be our grain dryer. We have our bakery located right there. Nice buildable site down here. With some more grain sell points here in town. We have our spinnery off to the right. Then, of course, that road is going to take us down to our starting farm. Let's make our way back over here to our vehicle shop. Go ahead and pick up our Mahindra. See where our vehicles spawn. Right here where they did in FS19. Then around the side we do have our dealer trigger. Now, before we go off too far, let's take a look at our build mode, because we do have some custom things here. We have some custom sheds with our placeable barn. Rotates 360 degrees on center, as well as our little garage. And 360 degrees on center. We have our custom placeable silo that's going to support 2 million liters of product. As far as containers go, we do have the ability to put down fertilizer, herbicide, lime, and liquid fertilizer buy points. And then we have our Ravenport farmhouse. With respect to production, we do have some custom production. We have a juice factory that we could pre-place, as well as a fermenting silo. With respect to greenhouses, we have various greenhouses that are again going to support apples, oranges, pineapples, lemons, as well as pumpkins. We have some custom animal areas that we can also put down. Our cow barn, our horse area, as well as our sheep, and that is going to be that. And then with respect to our ground textures, see we do have an assortment of custom ground textures that we can put down. And then fairly standard placeable plants. We have our fuel point right here, as well as our methane cell point. We have a cell point located there. Then up and around. We're going to have another cell point located here. Let's make our way over to the spinnery. And here at the spinnery, we have our dump point for our wool and cotton. We have our interactive icon, and then we have our pallet spawn point. Let's go ahead and take a moment and take a look at the other custom production that is pre-placed on the map. We have the biogas plant, which again is going to also output methane as well as digestate. We have our base game dairy with respect to our butter, cheese, and chocolate. Our spinnery, our carpentry, as well as our sawmill. Our bakery is a little unique in the fact that we can do bread, cornbread, cakes, pumpkin pies, apple pies, and sweet cornbread. Our grain elevator is going to do wheat flour, barley, oat, sorghum flour, as well as corn flour, and if we bring it dried corn, fine corn flour. We have our corn dryer that's going to accept corn and propane and produce dried corn. Our sugar mill, as well as our oil mill. In addition, remember we do have the placeable juice factory, the placeable greenhouses, and the placeable fermenting silo. Now, everywhere else to the east is going to be our starting farm. So let's circle back. And we'll loop through town here. Do have our custom bakery. Our interactive icon there at the front, dump point around the side, and our pallet spawn point around the back. Now, I do have to say that I really like this rendition of Ravenport. I went ahead and looked at a lot of the buildings, a lot of the textures. A lot of these buildings and textures have indeed been brought up to FS22 standards. So here we have our corn dryer. We have our dump and fill point, our interactive icon, and this is going to where we're going to need to bring our propane. So with respect to our scoring system, we're going to be giving the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such. In addition, we're going to be giving them a point for the ability to sell all of our base game crops, production items, and animal outputs. We have our sugar factory, so we have our dump point, our interactive point, and our pallet spawn point. Further up the main drag here, we then have our oil mill, pallet spawn point, dump point, and interactive point. Going to be there along the side. And here we have our train transfer station. So we have our dump and fill point here at the train. We have a rent train trigger. Then we have our fill point for a trailer. And then we have our dump point for a trailer located right there. Let's go up the hill to our sawmill and carpentry. I'd like to know from you guys what you all think of this rendition of Ravenport. Did you play Ravenport at all when you were playing FS19? Did all the trash turn you really away from Ravenport? Did for me, I know that. So again, I'm liking the fact that this is a cleaned up version of Ravenport, free of debris and trash. So here we have our wood cell point, our wood cell trigger. Another wood cell point and wood cell trigger, because down here we have our sawmill. We have our interactive icon, our pallet spawn point, and our wood chip point. Now we need to loop back around. Oh, the container that lets you jump off the cliff there, it's gone. I was really looking forward to yeeting off the cliff here to the lower level. Another cell point down below, right by the dock and the beach. No beachgoers out there today. Maybe the weather's a little bit too cold. So with respect to, can the farms be customizable? Totally, farms can be customizable. We can sell the horse area as well. So we're going to give the map a full point there as well. So let me just check and see, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be our dairy. Our dump point. Yep, so it's our dairy, our interactive point, and then our pallet spawn point here along the side. Now, I did look and see if I could find the cave. And it looks like this version of Ravenport does not have the cave. Or I'm just remembering it's in the wrong location. Here we have another grain cell point. Now we'll make our way across our wooden bridge up here to get to our flour mill, or our grain mill, as is indicated on the map. So we have our pallet point here around the side and around the corner. We have our dump point and our interactive point here at the front. Now, for those of you that do not like the BGA setup here do note you can sell everything here at the biogas plant. So if you don't like it, you can completely make this area 100% customizable, including these silage bunkers. Here at the BGA, you do have your digestate output. This is going to be your methane output, your digester input, your manure input, and then your interactive icon. Now around the back, we're going to have our animal dealer buy point for animal dealers, or for animals. But unlike 19, it is not here at the loading chute. It is backed up a little bit. And then around front, we do have our bale sell point. Let's make our way over to the second grain transfer silo. So we have our trailer dump inside. We have our trailer fill outside over here. And then, of course, our train dump and fill is going to be here along the tracks. And then we also have a rent train trigger there as well. We have our horse area, and we did go ahead and buy this. This is not owned at the start. Stables will hold 16 horses in all. We have our food, and then our straw. It's going to be inside of here. And we can sell the horse area as well as the training area as well, if we wanted to make this whole area kind of our own. Up on the hillside, we have another sell point, as we saw in the fly around. And I believe that is going to be the entire map. Now, one thing that I did not find was where do we buy that propane? Let's take a closer look. We don't have it here. Our spinnery. Water tower sell point. We have then our restaurant, our methane selling station, our gas station. We have our bakery, vehicle shop, corn dryer, sugar mill, oil mill, and the train transfer area, beach restaurant. We have a carpentry, sawmill, the dairy, grain elevator. We have a horse area here. We have another train silo right there. Animal dealer, bale sell point, biogas plant, the ranch sell point, central grain elevator, Alma train sell point, grain elevator west. It's not flagged here. So is it missing? Is it just not flagged? I don't know. Would love to know, everybody, where is the lonely propane buy point? Because we're going to have to buy propane in order to use the corn dryer. Now, with respect to our scoring, buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing technique. I do believe that, if not all the buildings, the vast majority of the buildings have been reworked in order to make use of the texturing technique in one way or another. So we're going to be giving the map a full point there. Then lastly, player and interactive areas being clearly marked. Do I take a point off because it's not clear where we buy the propane? Do I take a portion of a point off because it's not clear where we buy a propane? Or do we give the map a full point? That is the debate. And I somewhat feel inclined to take a quarter point off because we don't seem to have a hot spot that I can determine that is going to be our propane buy point. Maybe it's tied away in a piece of land that we have to buy. Well, that's easy enough to find out. So let's take a look at that. Let's just quickly buy the entire map. And now that the map is completely purchased, let's just see if we have anything new that has popped up. Nothing new that I am seeing. I mean, it would kind of make sense to have it over here in the shop somewhere. Or in town. Nope. And we can't buy pallets or tanks, IBC tanks of propane. So I am at a loss as to where, oh where, do we buy our propane from? I'd love to know if anyone knows down in the comments below. And until next time, happy farming.